Welcome back to Limitless Nerd. I am super excited to have J.M. Clark from An Elegant Weapon with me here today. Thank you for taking the time to come on and talk about Star Wars. And how's it going?
Absolutely my pleasure. It's going great, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, the first thing that I like to kind of dive into just to kind of it's a good way to get a baseline with everybody. Where did your journey with Star Wars begin? What's your kind of Star Wars origin story?
In 1983, my mother took me to see Return of the Jedi when I was 6 years old, and that was it. It was over. I was hooked for life.
Yeah.
Immediately afterwards, I got one of the little record storybooks. We
Oh
had the
yeah.
little storybooks that came with 45s, right? And I got the Return of the Jedi one, and I just played it over and over and over and over again because that was like before we really had like VCRs even all over the place,
Yeah.
right? So that was our way to rewatch it, were these little record storybooks. So that's how it began for me, and it's been
Yeah.
43 years of good times at this point. So
Yeah.
yeah.
When did the passion for Star Wars translate to let's talk about it on the internet? When did we jump on the content bandwagon? Was that a COVID thing like it was for so many other people, or
Oh no, no, no. It's a weird story actually.
ready?
Okay, it starts back in 2011. I had a friend of mine and I were both huge podcast fans. That's all we did was listen to podcasts, and a lot of Kevin Smith at the time. And Kevin was constantly saying, like, everyone should be doing this. Why isn't everybody doing this? It's so easy to
Yeah.
do. Everybody should be doing this.
Yeah.
So we listened, and we went into my basement one night and we hit record on the voice memos on my iPhone, and that started the podcast An Elegant Weapon,
Yeah.
which is in its whatever 13th, 14th, 15th or something. Not calculating right now year because I don't do it really too often because this other stuff took over. But anyway, so I had this podcast going, which led to me going. I already went to a lot of Comic Cons just because I'm a huge comic guy too. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize that because my content is so lightsaber niche, but I'm actually a
Yeah.
huge comics guy as well. Grew up on comic books, and I had always been going to Fan Expo and Comic Cons. And one time actually, before this happened. Okay. So I would go to Fan Expo and I would do like guerrilla on the spot interviews from Artist
Yeah.
Alley. I wouldn't get a
Yeah.
press pass. I wouldn't get a badge. I would just show up at the shows and like chat up with artists, a lot of independent up and coming artists. And I would interview them and I'd put this out on my podcast. So my podcast grew a little in the mainly the Toronto independent comic book community. But then I started going to shows in the US. And one time I was at a show in Philadelphia, the Great Allentown Comic Con, and I had my first huge stroke of luck where they had Nichelle Nichols was a guest and they had no moderator. And I'd never hosted a panel before or anything like that. It was just a podcast. Um, so they were desperate, and a friend of mine, my friend was the comics lead, and he's like, "You do it. You can talk." And I was like, "Fine, I'll do it then." So because they were going to send this poor woman, she was like 72, blind or deaf and in a wheelchair, and they were going to send her out there with no moderator. And I
Oh
was like, "You at
no.
least need somebody to repeat the questions to her. This is going to go bad, right?" So I
Yeah.
went out there and I winged it, and it ended up pretty good. And they were so happy with it that they let me do Michael Bean later in the day. So that was my foot in the door as far as hosting panels at Comic Cons. And that combined with doing so much work at Fan Expo and all the independent artists having gotten to know me well led into me doing panel hosting for Fan Expo. And I've been doing that since like 2016, maybe. So that was my gig. And that was what I concentrated on for like over a decade was my podcast, comic books, and hosting panels and stuff at Comic Cons. And I got to host some crazy panels as it grew. And yeah, then the pandemic hit and that kind of went away. I was also I was a Canadian ops manager for a publishing house in Michigan called Source Point Press. And they were this awesome independent comic publisher. And I was helping them move into Canada. I'm here in Ontario. I'm just outside of Toronto. So yeah, I was helping them get in here, and we were about to go on this huge run. Sorry, just making sure my my laptop doesn't seem to be getting power here. I so apologize. Okay,
Oh
there,
no,
we're
that's
good.
okay.
Sorry. You might
That's
have to
okay.
edit that. If not, I'm glad it was quick, kids. So where was I? The pandemic hit, which basically killed the company. Because our whole thing
Yeah.
was going to Comic Cons and like doing the grind, right? That's how we like
Oh
sold
yeah.
a lot of books, bringing the creators with us. It was a special time. So that went away. All the stuff went away. And I was left like, I don't know what to do. I'll keep doing the podcast. But at that same time, uh, it was everybody started podcasting. All of a sudden, what had
Yeah.
always been an audio medium for me forever turned into this other thing. And even since then, it's now grown into this thing where all these celebrities and all these people like have these
Oh yeah.
podcasts. And that's not what I was doing. So it felt weird. I tried doing video for a bit. Not that I mind video at all, obviously, with the YouTube, but it just wasn't my thing. It wasn't fun for me. So I kind of stopped doing that. I still do an occasional episode, but I had nothing to do. So then my kid actually introduced me to CapCut, the editing, app.
Yeah.
And I've always loved to edit. I wanted to be a filmmaker when I was a kid. So I started playing with CapCut, but I had nothing to edit.
Yeah.
But I did have this massive lightsaber collection that I had spent my whole life collecting. This was never the focus of my life. This was just like a passion for me while I was doing comics and podcasts
Yeah.
and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? I'll start showing off toys. So I started showing off some of my vintage toys and cards and fun stuff, and it was okay. Then I made like 2 or 3 lightsaber videos, and that's when it hit. I did them on
Yeah.
TikTok, and they grabbed attention. And I did that for a while, and my TikTok grew to what it is. And just a buddy of mine was like, why aren't you putting these on YouTube? And I was like, that's a very good question. So I had enough TikToks built up that I just started banging off lightsaber videos 2 a day on YouTube. And that got everybody's attention too, right? Um, so that's kind of my story. That's kind of how it turned into something that was just like my passion that wasn't part of everything else I was grinding to do. Like
Yeah.
I spent years holding up the comics community, like promoting them and their stuff. And then all of a sudden, this thing that I was doing just for me ended up after 13 years being the thing that took off. And
Yeah.
it's been an absolute blast, man. It's been a
Yeah.
crazy journey, but I'm loving it. It's so much fun. I didn't expect it at all, but here we are, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm curious, talking about moderating panels, what are some that stick out to you? Who are some of the cooler ones you've gotten to do?
Oh geez. Well, comic book wise, uh geez, I'm kind of blanking right now, but just a lot of the guys who you see at Fan Expo, like the guys working today, a lot of Canadian guys, because there are so many Canadians working in comics, like Jim Zub and Scott Hepburn and Ramon Perez, Ty Templeton, um, gosh, Dave Ross. It's crazy here in Ontario, the amount of like comic talent. It's just nuts. So a lot of those guys I would interview, and they're just, it's always a blast because I've done panels with them so many times at this point. We've just got to know each other. So it's just like a
Yeah.
hangout, right?
Yeah.
But for a while, I was the panel coordinator for the Great Philadelphia Comic Con. And that was the coolest time. The pandemic killed that show too. But before that, it was like a good 4-year run where I was getting interviews with like Alice Cooper
Oh
and
wow.
like
Yeah.
what's his name from Star Trek? Awesome guy, the captain, Captain Pike. I'm blanking on his name.
I,
You
I
know the
can't help you. I can't help you with the
lead guy.
Star Trek knowledge.
But like Jonathan Frakes and like, Steve Whitmire, who was Kermit,
Yeah.
Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh, a lot of like voice
Oh yeah.
actors I got to do. I got to do David Bradley, of Doctor Who and stuff. That was absolutely incredible. Yeah, so there's some cool ones. One time I did a Star Wars panel, and I can never remember everybody who was on it because there was like 5 legends on it at once. It was like Greedo, Gold Leader, and like a couple other like side guys. It was
Yeah.
an absolute trip to do. And that one, and probably the other most memorable one, is I did a Black Panther reunion panel where it was like the seminal Black Panther creative team, like Sal Valetto and Christopher Priest and Ruben Mendez was the editor. And these were all the guys back in like the 80s and 90s who like created like a lot of the lore and like kind of made like,
Yeah.
what the movies was based on, right? And also
Yeah.
Don McGregor, who is an old classics like Black Panther writer. Like he created his mom and stuff, like just awesome
Yeah.
stuff. So he was on the panel as well. And this was the first time they'd all been together since they had worked on it. So it was like this crazy cool reunion, like in front of
Yeah.
like thousands of people. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was a blast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious, because you talked about kind of everything blowing up on YouTube, but then kind of transitioning to, or blowing up on TikTok and then kind of transitioning to YouTube. I know that there's a huge difference between, busting out short form stuff versus long form, and you do have a lot of longer YouTube videos
I
up
don't know if
there
I'd
now.
say a lot, but I got a handful.
What's the do you have a preference between the long form and the short form?
I have I like them for different reasons, but the main reasons I do shorts is because it started on TikTok, which are shorts just in general. Plus, you're
Yeah.
filming in shorts mode.
Yes.
So when you're filming vertical, it just suits to YouTube. I had so many built up, it just made sense. So I just started banging them out. But another big reason is just because this isn't my job,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm an arborist by day. So I spend all day climbing trees and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm done that, and I'm also a single father of a 15-year-old Padawan, right? So after a day of dealing with him and dealing with, not that he's amazing, he's a good boy, but still, after a day of parenting and climbing trees, it's like,
Yes.
I don't have time to put into a long form video what it takes, basically. That's why when I have the
Sure.
time and a good idea, I'll get one together. I'd like to do more. I always would like to do more. Plus, that's kind of, they're a little bitter that way. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, shorts is just kinda my thing, it's my shtick.
Yeah.
It's because this isn't my job, I don't have to super worry about it, I I
Sure.
I want it to always stay fun. My whole thing is to never let it feel like a job, like it's pressure or any
Yeah.
stress at all. This needs to be
Yeah.
fun because that's how
Yeah.
it started, and that's how it organically grew. It was just
Yeah.
me being me, hanging out, and, there's a million people online talking about lightsabers. There's very, very few who are talking about toy lightsabers.
Yeah.
And, I think I hit something that I was always missing myself. The only place I could ever go to find conversations about toy lightsabers or the intricacy and lore of lightsabers was pretty much Reddit. And that would kind of
Yeah.
be on a post by post that you find basis. So one of the most grateful things that I am for, this whole thing is that I feel like I've kind of helped to build this little community where these weirdos can come together, because
Yeah,
toy lovers are like a niche outside of Star Wars collecting. We're
a
like kind
hundred
of the
percent.
black sheep, right? Like
Yeah,
whether you're vintage Star Wars collector or figures or new or just Black Series, whatever, we're kind of the weirdos, right? Like Star Wars toys, like lightsaber toys, have never been as respected as every other Star Wars toy.
yeah,
So that's why it's very niche. And, I think I just hit that nerve where,
hundred
and a
percent.
lot of it's also nostalgia. Like when
Yeah.
people see these toys they had as kids that they beat their
Oh yeah.
siblings with, it makes them smile in the morning. And that's enough for me, that I give them
Yeah.
like, 2 minutes of a nice memory. Right. So
Yeah. A hundred
yeah.
percent. You know, you talk about how you were collecting long before YouTube, long before TikTok, long before any of that.
Yeah.
Was your collection always focused on lightsaber toys, or was it broader? And then when the content started, it narrowed.
No. Okay. So here's how that happened. I had a bunch of Star Wars toys as a kid, and those went the way of most kids, where passed on to the cousins, never seen again, right? Because you didn't know. Uh, then then the 90s came, and I got really into the Star Wars comics, and that was kind of my way back in. That combined with the re-release with the special editions,
Yeah.
that kind of is what really relit my fire as far as collecting. So that's when I got the Power of the Force lightsabers when they came out. And then in 99, I got all the Phantom Menace lightsabers. But I also got a lot of the other stuff. And I was like, cool, because the Phantom Menace toy line, as much as it's, not the most well regarded, it
Yeah.
had a limit. It was contained. It was kind of like the
Yes.
original, series that came out in the 70s, is that there was only a certain amount, and it
Yeah.
wasn't a daunting task to collect everything that you wanted.
Yeah.
Then came episode 2. And I'll never forget walking into I can't remember, it might have been Zeller's at the time, but I remember walking in there on the day that the episode 2 characters came out, the figures, and there was like dozens.
Oh
There
yeah.
was a ridiculous amount of episode 2 toys released.
Yeah. A
And
hundred
I
percent.
tried at first, I just couldn't keep up. And I'm a bit of a completionist, right?
Yes.
So I took my and I was collecting lightsabers at this time, but it wasn't exclusive, because there weren't that many, right? Like not there at
Yeah.
that point, there was just coming out the couple of the electronic 2002s for episode 2.
Yeah.
So I was grabbing those up, and the Phantom Menace 2002 episode 2 Mace Windu with the gray hilt and the purple blade, like that was like the
Yeah.
highlight of those like years for me, like getting my hands on that, right? Um, so I decided that's when I decided I'm gonna go exclusively lightsabers. I sold my entire collection on eBay, and I had some pretty cool stuff. And I think one of the things I really kind of regret letting go though was I had the Royal Naboo starship, like the big
Yeah.
silver one. That was
Oh
thing was
yeah.
just it was just a beautiful toy.
Oh yeah.
Like, just sitting there, like, the lines and the silver, it looked gorgeous sitting there. So I packed everything up, sold it all on eBay in one shot. I took the proceeds from that, and I bought a 1984 Kenner Droids lightsaber in package.
Yeah.
And I bought a master replica limited edition, uh, episode 4 Obi-Wan Kenobi. And those were the 2 pieces that I was like, "Okay, these are now my crown jewels," right? And they're still like
Yeah.
2 of my crown jewels. And I was like, "These are the lightsabers I'm gonna build around." And that's when I started going nuts. That's when I started realizing how many secondhand lightsabers were actually out there. And I wanted them loose. I never wanted them all boxed. It's not like action figures that it's easier to
Yeah.
keep that way. It takes up way too much room, and they look better, and I want to play with them. I want to see how they work. That's why I've always collected them. Again, you got to keep it fun. I've
Yeah.
started recently keeping them more in package just because their price is it's shooting up. Like the respect for lightsaber toys It's coming around.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to try to pick up older vintage ones and keep them in box, right? So yeah, that's when it went, and that was 2002, and that's when I went exclusively lightsabers. That's
Yeah.
how it's been ever. And I still pick up things here and there, but
Sure.
only when I see and like. And I have a fairly substantial just retro toy collection where I'm slowly buying back my childhood. Like I get
Yeah.
at least one piece from all the lines I had as a kid. Like I have one mask figure, a Centurion, a Silverhawk. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, yeah. And I mean, I'm curious. You kind of touched on it briefly, but I'm curious if you have a favorite piece in the collection and a bucket list item. Like, what's at the top of the list for the armory that's not currently there?
Okay. Uh My favorite lightsaber, my crown jewel, is my droid's lightsaber. It's my only lightsaber that I had graded,
Mhm.
specially, and I love it. It's if I had to keep one, that'd be the one. I do also have a 1999 Ruby's Obi-Wan that it's all broken and busted, but it's because it was my first one I bought then, and it gone on many adventures, went on many adventures with me, many.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of good times. So sentimentally, that one is like very important to me. Do you know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
mean, the blade
Yeah.
doesn't even go all the way in anymore,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. As far as what I'm looking for now, it's been an amazing year, and that's kind of thanks to the channel in the community, and that's hooking me up with just links and hints and tips. I've
Yeah.
found some very cool lightsabers. And I've also gotten deeper into the community, of like, toys and stuff. So overall, the white whale for me right now is the 1978 Japanese exclusive Takara lightsaber. And this was a Japanese exclusive that had a white blade and kind of a black handle with like gold sticker on it, Star Wars and some Japanese like characters. And it had these little discs that you could slide in and they would change the color. So like the one of the first lightsabers ever made was a color changing lightsaber, right? Which is kind of
Yeah.
cool. Um, and that's the white whale. And I've only ever seen maybe two or three for sale. The prices vary a lot. I've seen it for 3 grand. I've seen it for 300.
Yeah.
And definitely the conditions vary a lot. And that's one that if I was going to go ahead and pull the trigger on one like that, I'd want one in decent shape, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of the savings are sitting, kind of working on waiting for that one right now. But then there's
Yeah.
like easier ones, like the 1997 Ruby's lightsaber, the green one. Which is one I'm sure I can find easily enough, right? So
What's the saber that was sitting on that bucket list for the longest time? What's the one that you just looked for and looked for and looked for and finally had that moment of victory?
the 1981 Empire Strikes Back Kenner the Force lightsaber in yellow. That took me years to find in good shape. Like
Yeah.
the one I have is pristine. And I I almost had to like dive into the dark web depths of toy collecting and
Yes.
to get this thing. Like I had like people messaging people, like, talking to people. Like to be honest, I don't know the source of where it came from. It like traveled through like other people to the point where I don't actually like, I know it came from Denver. That's the one thing I know about it is it came from a collector in Denver and he needed convincing. And I always hope that this guy comes across, or girl, or whoever comes across, this collector comes across my channel and maybe sees it in one of my videos or a video I made about it, and at least sees that it probably went to like the best home it possibly could have,
Yeah.
right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's special to me because I spent years tracking down a good one. And
Yeah.
You know, I have some very, very good, important, wonderful friends that I love who help me make those connections. So that's
Yeah.
yeah, that was special.
I'm I'm curious about the way that you display your sabers because it's right behind you. What
Yeah.
because I mean I don't know how many are on that wall, but what was the thought process of I need to make a display that can hold the maximum amount of of sabers possible and
Well,
still look like a collection?
the wall predates the videos, right?
Yes.
The wall was just, I'm a single guy and this is my apartment. There's lightsabers all over it. Get over it. You know what I mean? Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Anybody who would have a problem with this isn't somebody I'd want around all the time, anyways, right? So when I first moved into the place I'm in, it was 3, 4 years ago. And I needed I didn't have nearly as many lightsabers at that point too. Like the channel really like the collection swelled after, the last 3 years of making videos, right? So
Yeah.
just before I started making videos, I was making TikToks before I moved in here, but not anything like recognizable as what I do today, right? I was doing like trends with my kid and stuff. Uh yeah. So I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do, and I knew I'm always inspired by Kill Bill, that the dark attic with all the Hattori Hanzo swords just on the
Yeah.
plain wooden shelves. I love that aesthetic, and, I was in my shop at work, and I found a whole bunch of old fence boards, and I asked my boss, "What are you doing with these?" He's like, "Whatever, you take them." So that was the original wall, was those it was a bit darker, and things just kept growing and growing and growing. It was a lot shorter than the one you see now too. It was probably in like a foot on each side, but I didn't know this was gonna happen. I didn't know I'd need the space, right? So, it kept growing, and then 7 months ago, I had an injury, and I broke my femur.
Ugh.
So, I was off. I'm still not fully back, right? Um, and I was basically on the couch for like 2 months, and then like 2 months after that, I was kinda mobile enough, but I needed something to do, and I had always wanted to like redo the collection anyways. So I was off and I had the time and I had some friends willing to help me. So I basically redid my whole apartment. I painted because my walls were white, so I painted certain ones black, and I bought new wood, made new shelving, measured, made sure I had enough room to grow more even, right? And that's what I did, and that was a couple months ago. You can go back in my videos and see like the whole process, from like the whole change is up there through TikToks and long form videos, and then I have a whole tour of the whole collection. So that's kind of how everything got built. As far as how it's placed, it's roughly above me. I have like blade builder sets because it's the top shelf. There's more room and they're kind of bigger. Then these are all random miscellaneous Hasbro lightsabers basically. And I try to just go with the miscellaneous electronics. Went with green and then some blues and then the reds. Things get moved around a bit to fit too, right? So that's kind of what this wall is. And it's all individual, which I like. It presents them all cool. And then what you don't see is I have shelves all around the top of my walls that have like boxed lightsabers. So they're up there. And then there's another one of these shelving walls to my right.
We'll play a little bit of
Oh,
the
okay. I
video
see.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Um, Yeah, so see all those boxed ones there, right? And then behind me is another wall, and that's where the entire Forge line is. They've made so many Forge lightsabers that I had to dedicate an entire
Yes.
wall to that line. It's kind of crazy, right? So yeah, and then there's a third wall that I made, which is my replicas.
Yeah.
And then there's a few randoms around the house on different shelves, but it's mainly 3 of these walls worth of lightsabers. It's just over 300 lightsabers in total. See,
Wow.
you can kind of see it to the left there, but yeah. So, and I've been smart enough to kind of let things have some room to swell again. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was curious to ask how many pieces are there?
I have the
But
list and I haven't quite done the official account. I gotta sit down because I had it in a book and I finally put the inventory online. So if you go to an elegantweapon.ca, there's actually a tab at the top of that website that says lightsaber inventory list. So now you can
yeah.
see my whole collection. So I actually still have to count it though, right? And that's how I kind of keep track of it. It took me forever to actually get it on and out there. But yeah. So sorry, what was the question to that one? Did I answer it?
Oh, I was curious,
It's
roughly how many?
Yeah, I think it's just over 300.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and a few of those aren't exactly lightsabers. Like, there's a couple of like action figures with lightsaber display cases.
Yeah.
So, if something prominently has a lightsaber featured in it or on the package, it says lightsaber something, I'll include that as part of the lightsaber collection. So
Yeah.
my lightsaber collection, it isn't 100% lightsabers. It's more like
Yeah.
98% actual lightsabers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to ask because you're one of you might be the only person I know that has their own custom made and custom designed lightsabers.
There she is.
What's the story here? What's the story? What inspired the design?
She's pretty. And that's just the back of it. You should see the front of it too. Uh Actually, you want to see let me tell you quickly cool. You see at the bottom, you see where it's like a marking, it looks like a glyph.
Uh-huh.
It looks like a JK over a sword. Can you kind of
Uh-huh.
see that?
Yeah.
What that is as an arborist, it's an old school tradition to sign your removals. So when I remove a tree and the stump is there, I will carve with my chainsaw, I'll carve that glyph into the stump so other arborists know
Wow.
who took that tree down. So I thought that, you know what, that might be like a cool, like kind of looking,
Yeah.
kind of, sigil type thing to include on my
Yeah, yeah,
lightsaber,
yeah.
right? So that's
Yeah.
why that's there. How that came about was going to shows, being involved in Fan Expo when this whole custom lightsaber thing blew up, and companies started doing the shows. There are two that I met and I got really tight with, and those are Saber X out of Montreal and Extra Life lightsabers here in Ontario, and they're in Simcoe. And that those were the two companies that I personally knew as people. So I got to know Extra Life here. Colin and Scott are the owners out in Simcoe. Awesome guys, close enough that we can hang out enough. And of course, I've always wanted my own custom lightsaber. Like who hasn't,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I had learned enough about the industry that I knew that it was possible to have a lightsaber produced. And I didn't quite know exactly the process, but I kind of knew enough that I knew companies produced limited edition lightsabers. So talking to Colin, it just came. I can't remember, to be honest, if he or I were the first person to say, what do you think about doing this? One of us said it though, and the other was just like, of course, right?
Yeah.
And we went into it. And Scott, the one partner, what I did is I came up with my design, my idea, and I told it to Scott, and Scott made the 3D like blueprint of it. And then in conjunction with LGT, who is one of the two probably the biggest manufacturer of lightsabers in China, we partnered up with them to produce it. And you pay, basically you pay, and they make a certain amount. And and you got to go through the whole process. But they were awesome. They were great working with them. And they'd send you updates and I would check and say, I don't like this, or can we tweak that, right? And one of the coolest things about this lightsaber is it's the first time that LGT has ever produced a lightsaber with wood grain. And they didn't know how to do that. And they had to figure it out. So this lightsaber, which is limited to 100 pieces, is the first time this exists. So it's
Yeah.
exclusive to this lightsaber. If you want to use it again, it's kind of on us kind of thing, or
Yeah.
LGT. So that is a very cool thing too, because as an arborist, that was part of the what I wanted to implement into the lightsaber was some natural elements, right? I
Yeah.
wanted it to be classy yet natural. I wanted it either Frank Sinatra could use this lightsaber or Robin Hood could use this lightsaber, and it would
Yeah.
look good in either of their hands.
Yeah.
That's the main thought behind the lightsaber.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we had a big launch on YouTube. We did a live show where we offered $100 off, for the time period of that live stream. We gave a code, and then that ended when the live stream was over, and it was super successful. We sold a whole whack of them right off the bat. So I'm so because like this is on Extra Life more than it is me. And
Yeah.
my main concern is they get back what they've put into this, right? Like I want this to work for everybody. I don't want my stupid dream to become, a
Yeah.
problem for anyone, right?
Yeah.
But so far so good. We announced it, we showed it, people seemed very receptive, and people seem to like it. So we're the show orders will be coming in soon. So Toronto Comic Con in March should be the first time that we have them at a show, and you can just actually buy them, right? And they're all numbered. They all come with a little number plaque with my signature on it and a little certificate of authenticity for each one. And it's been a blast. It's so exciting. I can't wait for the
Yeah.
summer to just sell these things.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine I mean, you can go to Galaxy's Edge and build your own lightsaber, but I mean, that's a whole different,
It's a
you
whole
design that
different
from
thing. Yeah.
scratch. Yeah.
Well, it's one of the number one comments I get on my channels is you need to go to Savvy's. And I don't think people understand that I'm in Canada.
I mean, Savi's is cool,
It is
but,
cool, and I intend to get there one day,
but
but there's still prefabricated parts. You're still choosing
yes.
from parts somebody else made or designed, right?
Yes.
Which I do
Yes.
intend to do one day. I want to do the experience. I want
Oh,
to be
it's an
like
experience.
in
It's an
right.
experience. Trust
Yeah,
me.
I'm more excited about that than my
Yeah.
making my own lightsaber, but that's what everybody
Yeah.
keeps telling me to do, and I'm like, look, it's not that easy, right? It's a fairly expensive trip, and I'm not rich. Everybody seems to think this equates to me having a lot of money, and they don't see
Yeah.
the part that this is decades of, a lot of these are secondhand, a lot of these were done with deals.
I
It's
can relate.
right. Yeah. You
Yeah.
you get what I'm talking about, man. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful structure back there, by the way, too.
Thank
Looks
you. Thank
gorgeous.
you.
I love it. You should do an up close video sometime. Like do a tour of yours
Yeah,
and
I intend to.
yeah, let us see that
It's on the
action.
list.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, I'm just excited.
But I'm curious, since your collection is so laser focused, there's so many collectibles out there in the Star Wars world. Is there something that you've seen out there that you're like, that's really cool? It doesn't fit what I'm currently doing, but man, that's cool.
Yeah, and I usually buy that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I recently acquired the 1983 Return of the Jedi battle scarred TIE fighter. And I have a Rancor. I have a 1983 Jabba, the Jabba playset. Mine's
Yeah.
complete. It's got both the glass bowls on it. Love that.
Yeah.
I'm big into Jedi. Jedi's my thing. And so I have a speeder bike. I have an original inbox speeder bike, and I have a few graded characters, some Ewoks and stuff. And then again, like I said, I have my retro collection. So like today, I went to a toy show today, and I didn't find anything Star Wars that I wanted, but I did find a Crystar. And I don't know if you're familiar with Crystar, but look it up, kids. It's just yet another classic, fantastic 80s cartoon comic book IP. It's this little crystal warrior guy. And I had one when I was a kid. And I picked that up today. and which I'm thrilled about. I just keep like looking over at it on my shelf because I'm like, yeah, because he's complete, he's great
Yeah.
condition. I'm so happy. There's this one guy. I'm gonna shout out Pete. I know you're not gonna see this, but Pete is my guy. He's a local toy dealer, and he's just his vintage action figures are just mint. He won't sell anything that's not of good quality. He just won't bother.
Yeah.
So he's like my go-to guy. A lot of my pieces I've acquired from him, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, when I see funky, interesting things, if it's something I want enough, absolutely, I'm willing to pick it up, you know.
Yeah. Eh,
I have an Empire Strikes Back Han Solo blaster from 1981. So, you know, I'll
yeah.
detour from lightsabers slightly once in a while.
Yeah. I mean, eh, as somebody that is sitting in a room that you can only see one of the corners, but there's stuff in the other three,
Awesome.
it's one of those things that, you know, it is hard to walk away if you just even if your collection is focused, it's hard to walk away, man, if you see something that's just, especially if it's from childhood.
You know what I had to say no to today? Uh, I hadn't budgeted it out because that Crystar wasn't cheap. Was when I was a kid on my 3rd birthday, I was given a Hulk utility belt set. And it was like those utility belt sets you see with the, you know, a yellow belt, and it had like a
Yeah.
voice changer and a
Yeah.
communicator because the Hulk had a communicator, right? And it had like green wristbands. It came in this box with the Hulk on it. And I have pictures of me on my 3rd birthday. My mom even put me in green pants and a green shirt. And she gave me this set for my birthday. And there's pictures of me running around, little 3-year-old, like playing with it.
Yeah.
And I saw it today. And I must have stood there for 10 minutes staring at it. And I asked the
Yeah.
guy, I'm like, how much? He tells me, and I'm like, oh. And I had to walk away in the end. I thought, okay, which which is more in your actual real world nostalgia, and what are you just reacting to kind of pictures you've seen yourself of, sort of thing. And I
Sure.
remember very explicitly playing with that Crystar Warrior and loving it. And I was like, I'm going with that today. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that guy, that same vendor, I see him at the same show again. Maybe I'll grab it next time. But I couldn't believe it. I saw it. I was like, I haven't seen it since I was 3 years old. And
Yeah.
there it was. And it was, the box was really beat up, but it was complete and had everything in it. And yeah, if it's there again, I might get it next time. So I have those, I have moments like that all the time, man. All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Bring it.
Favorite Star Wars movie?
Return of the Jedi.
Favorite of the shows, because there are so many now.
Okay, we're talking new Disney shows, like live action.
No, not necessarily. Just a Star Wars show that has ever been put out.
Um, well, if I can say any show, I'll probably say Clone Wars. But here's the thing. No, you know what? I don't like, this question's hard for me. Sorry, I know this is rapid fire, but it's hard for
No,
me to
no, that's
answer
okay.
because I feel like when I answer it, I'm like bringing down the other stuff that I love so much. But this is all
There
very
can
on a
be
very,
details.
but on a very close level. But the best Star Wars to me, period, the best Star Wars are the Tartakovsky 2D Clone Wars.
Yes,
Those are the most brilliant Star Wars that has ever Star Warsed on screen.
love it.
And that's my answer.
That's a fantastic answer. Not
Yeah.
enough people know and have seen that show.
No, it's beyond brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not just talking the brilliant animation. Those shows were so good that when they first aired back on Cartoon Network, it was
Yep.
a 2-minute episode once
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah.
We would wait all week for 2 minutes in between two shows crammed in there. That's
Yep.
how good they were. And I didn't miss one.
I didn't either.
That's how good they were,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
a
like
100%.
yeah.
I Will
That
not
that
argue with that.
those not being canon are the single biggest shame of the switch over that I think. Like, I think, why would you not, like, Lucas was heavily involved and he always said, the shows count. It's the shows and the movies. That's canon, right?
Yeah.
Yet for some reason those don't, there's no reason. There's
Yeah.
nothing at the time that would have been crazy conflicting to what they're doing now. So
There's really still not.
I still don't understand it. I really,
Yeah.
really don't. Because they kind of,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah,
I think you can still work it in there. Like in my
absolutely.
version of the canon, I think it's still in there somewhere.
I agree, 100%.
Favorite Star Wars character?
Hmm. In the movies, Obi-Wan. In the shows, Ahsoka and young Obi-Wan. In the novels, Coran Horn. I Jedi is probably my favorite Star Wars book. I absolutely
Yeah.
love that character. In the comics, Darth Vader. That's how I
Yeah.
break him down.
Do you have a favorite Star Wars video game?
Yes, Masters of Terras Kasi for PlayStation 1. Yep,
I love it.
100%. Greatest Star
Love
Wars
it.
video game ever made.
I love it.
I've spent countless nights with my
Yes.
buddy playing that game. It's just a fighting game, but it's the greatest fighting game of all time. And once you unlock Vader and Luke, and you can go back and forth, and then you can unlock. It took me forever to unlock Jedi Luke because you start as like Empire Luke. Man, what a great game. They should remake it for like
Yes.
the new platforms because I'd play the hell out of that, man. So
I
brilliant.
would. I was wondering how many episodes of the show I was gonna have to do and ask that question before I got that answer.
Well, I'm not even a gamer. Like, I don't play video games, but that video game we played a lot. That was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have a, which I'm sure I don't know very many people at this point that don't, talking about Star Wars on the internet. Do you have a Star Wars hot take that you talk about and people just do not like it?
Um, I think the closest thing to it is that Phantom Menace is my second favorite Star Wars movie. I think Phantom Menace is brilliant. I mean, it's got its moments of being Sesame Street, as every Star Wars movie does. But overall,
Sure.
I love it. I love that movie. And literally the Duel of the Fates alone is worth it being put up that high in the list compared to the entirety of some of the other movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that yeah, I've been watching certain things lately though that are like changing my opinions into being certain hot takes. There's the one guy who makes the great videos. He might be like Filipino or something. I'm not sure, so not to offend, but I'm just trying to like get in a visual of him. But he's the guy who explains stuff, but he's always like very like, okay, no, you're wrong. This happened in like this, and he's not being like a dick. Like, I don't mean to think,
Yeah.
but he's very like, he's just like always tired of people's nonsense with Star Wars, and I love
Yeah.
it for that. Do you know who I'm talking
Yes.
about?
I
Yeah.
do, but I can't think of his name.
I wish I could think. He's very high. He's got a huge amount of followers. He's up top there. And
Yeah.
I hate that I'm blanking on his name right now. But sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. But he had a video the other day talking about how bringing Palpatine back in the sequels did not ruin the prophecy or the lore. And I was like, oh, I got to hear this, right? Because I've always been like, bringing him back was like, it ruined the whole reason for everything. But then
Yeah.
his explanation was thorough and rational and, intelligent enough that he turned me. And I was like,
Yeah.
I could get with that. It made me feel better about Star Wars. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I can kind of get with that explanation. And I think what this guy basically is is trying to get people to understand is that Star Wars is far deeper than people realize. And
Yeah.
that might be my hot take. That these silly movies made for kids are incredibly deep at times, and they can
Yeah.
be dissected in ways that you just do not consider.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. And that's what I love that guy for. We're
Yeah.
gonna have to later somehow amend or something and like shout him out because like, yeah, but like it really gave me a new perspective on it that I was like, okay, I get it. Because if I have to be okay with the fact that it took Darth Vader, whatever, 30 years or sorry, 20 years to like fulfill the prophecy after turning to the dark side, I can kind of get with the
Yeah.
fact that Palpatine coming back doesn't necessarily mean, that, you know, the Sith rule again kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it throws the force out of balance again. So in a way, you could go as deep as to argue that like it's almost like the Matrix. It's like every once in a while there's another chosen one. Like,
Yeah.
like Vader had his turn to get to the point where he saved his son, and then his son turned around and had to do this, and then Rey had to turn around and do this. Maybe it's
Yeah.
secular. He just,
Yeah.
and as I get older too, as I get, grayer and grayer in the face, I think about these things with less passion, less
Yes.
unadulterated passion I did when I was like 20 years ago when I was like,
Yeah.
this is canon, canon, blah, 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 blah. But
Yeah.
now I have to kind of let loose of canon because, my canon is still the EU. That's what I grew up on for decades. It's still hard to wrap my brain that that's not canon. Like that's what happened, that's the stuff. That's why Disney stuff feels like the weird stuff to me because I'm like, wait a minute, all this stuff happened already. Just show that.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see. So the fact that Filoni is slowly bringing stuff back in and
Yeah.
interweaving allows me to be more flexible. I'm far more flexible with my Star Wars canon than I used to be because
Yeah.
I was a stickler, man. I was one of those guys,
Yeah.
but you got to let it go and just enjoy the stories for it. Because also Star Wars has swelled so much now. It's not like it used to be anything Star Wars was for a Star Wars fan. Now there's
Yeah.
this kind of Star Wars for that kind of fan and this kind of Star
Yeah.
Wars for that kind of fan. And
Yeah.
there's just, more direction and, more demographics involved in the situation. Hell, you don't hear anybody complaining about the canon being broken in the Young Jedi Adventures. Like, I bet
Yeah.
you could sit down and maybe I'm wrong, actually. The people who make those shows are actually probably the ones who are most hardcore about canon because they love Star Wars so much.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's probably something you could find in there that like breaks canon. And you don't hear people being like, oh, the Young Jedi Adventures are garbage because this doesn't fit with that. Like it's
Yeah.
woke, all these colored kids running around with lightsabers. It's woke. It's just nonsense. It's utter
Yeah.
nonsense. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so yeah, it makes you be more forgiving. So I try to tell people now, like, because that's why I try to keep my channel a safe space. I don't
Yeah.
let anybody get out of line or they're gone. You
Yeah.
don't get a second chance when it comes to being kind around here, because
Yeah.
that's not. This is a lightsaber love fest that I'm holding, not
Yeah.
not lightsaber debates. 2026. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just there's so much, and I'm that way too. I mean, do I love every Star Wars thing that comes out? No, of course not. But there's elements of every single movie and show that I can point at and say I enjoy that. It could be a
Right?
character, it could be a scene, it could be a vehicle, it could be anything. But my thing too is like every piece of Star Wars that comes out is the opportunity to create new Star Wars fans.
Yes, that's their goal. That's the demographic thing. Absolutely. Right?
And
That's what
more
they're
people and more people that we can have conversations like this with. So,
yeah.
I'm never gonna see that as a bad thing. So, when
No.
there's people out there that, oh, cancel this show or oh, this movie shouldn't be made, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I can never.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
not on board
severely
with that.
like a lot of people, I severely dislike The Last Jedi. like severely. I have not watched that movie, and people will probably say, "Well, you should give it a chance." And no, I watched it once when I went to the theater, and I have not.
Yeah.
I watched maybe some scenes, TikTok here and there, but I have not sat through that movie since the first time I saw it. And I'm sorry, that's the one thing you will still not convince me of. Like even that guy we were talking about before has very compelling, intelligent, reasonable reasons why Luke would turn out to be that Luke. And I get that. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm saying it's not appropriate. It's not the point of this whole thing. This is as basic as it gets. We
Yeah.
can't sit here and talk about great archetypes, the hero archetypes, the journey, the this, the that, without keeping that basic, which is your hero is the good guy, and it's not Star Warsian to start getting into all the side reasons why they're traumatized in the head. Like that's for other stuff. And because that's important and those kind of things need to be addressed and dealt with. But this is supposed to be pure. This is supposed to be the cowboy in the white hat that we can depend on. Luke Skywalker is supposed to be Superman. And with the most recent Superman, as much as like he may have his struggles mentally, which I could see Luke having those because of those, wanting to do good, he still makes the right choice. He still doesn't let his laurels go. He still doesn't give up. The giving up is like I could see him depressed, whatever, but that Luke Skywalker, our shining star, the kid that a 6-year-old me was like, looking at this farm boy, like he could be the ultimate hero, would not give up. And I
Yeah.
don't care if that's not human enough. I don't care if that's not real enough. I don't care if that's not trying something different enough. That's not what this is supposed to be. The whole idea was Luke not giving up on his father. There is still good in him. And
Yeah.
Luke never gave up. And you're telling me a wise old, guy in his 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever he was at that time would just give up like that? Like the only thing that's made me even consider it a possibility are the fan theories that like he had a wife and a kid who were killed. And that is the only discussion I'm kind of willing to have, but that didn't happen. And that's not the story,
Yep.
right? Like, I'm sorry, but no. There's no way he'd like that lightsaber. Give me a million
No,
reasons.
I and
Fine.
I and
No.
I absolutely agree. But the funny thing is, if somebody walked up to me and said that's their favorite Star Wars movie, then
I let him have it. That's why you'll never
yeah,
hear me talk about it on my channel. Like, of course,
yeah,
go ahead. I'm sure it's many people's favorites, and that's
sure,
great. People think I'm nuts. I love Phantom Menace, and I get that. It's a very childish movie in a lot of ways, but I'm there for the fantasy. I'm there for the myth.
yeah,
Episode 2 is an awful movie, but I got to see an army of Jedi all lighting their lightsabers at once.
yeah,
I don't need anything else. People have
yeah,
too high expectations. This is supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? And
100%, hundred
doing
percent,
that to Luke Skywalker robbed us of our fun. They made it not fun. There's only
yeah,
one time ever that Star Wars was acceptably not fun, and that was The Empire Strikes Back. And even that was fun.
yeah,
They managed to do it dark and whatever, but they still did it in a fun way. You got
yeah,
Yoda, like the
yeah,
first appearance of Yoda when they didn't know he was like great Jedi Master Yoda yet is like one of the most fun sequences in all of Star Wars.
yeah,
So no, it shouldn't have been done. This if it hurt this many people, there's validity to saying that,
sure,
because it's like almost shifted. People are almost shifting the argument, making people being like turning the victims into the ones who are like, like the movie or whatever. And I'm like, no,
yeah,
no, no. I go down on this ship that shouldn't have happened to Luke Skywalker. Like my Luke
yeah,
Skywalker is almost inhuman. I don't want your flaws. I want the Luke Skywalker who walked on lava to get Gantoris to join his to get him to join the academy. Like that's what I want. I'm
yeah.
sorry, but like no, he's not supposed to give up. He's Superman. He goes in that list. You got your Superman, you got your Luke Skywalker, you know, like you got your Tarzan, you got your Lone Ranger, you got these are guys don't give up. Woody wouldn't give up. Like, sorry, I'm getting off on a tangent. But
That's okay. That's okay. I agree. And I mean, Star Wars should be fun.
right?
And that's like the blanket statement.
Yeah.
Star Wars should be fun.
I found no fun in that movie whatsoever. I tried.
Yeah.
I you know, I was like, and then like I'm far more forgiving of like another thing that I won't ever forgive, but I could deal with easier is forced teleportation. Like in Rise of Skywalker, when Rey like force teleports the lightsaber into his hand, I was like, "Are we going there?" Like that's for Star Trek.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like that's what there's certain things that one has never treaded on the other. You know what I mean? Like Star Trek's never been magical. Well, I guess it has like later on with like Q and all that stuff. But you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no teleportation in Star Wars. Nobody beams anywhere in Star Wars. That's all of a sudden lightsabers are beaming around the galaxy. Why was that necessary? I
Uh,
feel like it wasn't necessary. I feel like it
yeah.
would have been cooler for him to just like hand to hand, or I don't know. Maybe I'm just old too. I got to remember that like I'm old, like a lot of my fans are kids who
Yeah.
watch my stuff, you know. That's why I try to keep it wholesome and
Yeah.
positive, you know, but I get cranky old man about Star Wars at times, but that's part of the fun of it, right?
Sure.
As long as I'm
And
not putting anybody else down for what they think, that's the most
yeah.
important thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of fun, I have a game for you if you're down to play a game.
Let's play.
This is a blind ranking. Usually I would pull a category at random, but since you are the lightsaber guy, you are you are going to be ranking lightsabers.
Okay. Cool.
And you've got spaces 1 through 5,
All right.
and I'm gonna just I have a bunch written down, and I'm just going to pick whichever one speaks to me.
Can I move them around, or once I place them, they're stuck there, right?
Once you place it,
Okay.
that's where it stays, and
Okay.
you don't know what's coming next.
Gotcha.
So
Oh man.
the first one I'm going to give you is just the classic, the Graflex, the one that was given to Luke in A New Hope, and then was Anakin's, and then Rey's, and
This is my own
the
personal like opinion, right? Like what
sure,
I
sure, yeah.
number 4.
Not a fan of the design.
Not a fan, just like not in love with it, you know. It wasn't my first lightsaber. Like remember like Jedi's
Yeah,
my movie. Like when I saw that green lightsaber light up, like that's what I was like, what is that? Right? So
yeah. Luke's green one is probably my favorite lightsaber.
yeah, yeah.
How about we were just talking about the sequels. How about Kylo Ren's? What do you think of the cross guard?
No, number 5. I'm not a cross guard guy. I feel it's
How about
limiting.
how about Obi-Wan, but from the Phantom Menace?
Uh Number 2. I might regret not putting that at number 1, but it's definitely at least number 2.
I can not argue with that. How about something a little bit newer? How about Ahsoka's, but her white ones that she uses in Rebels and her series, and
See?
more
Oh,
katana style?
see, I would have put those at number 2, and I don't want to put them at number 1 yet because there's one I'm waiting for you to say. Um,
Oh gosh, now I'm curious which one that might be.
I have to put them at 3. Because what did I put it to?
Obi-Wan from Phantom
Yeah,
Menace.
yeah, I know that works. Yeah, put her at number 3. Yeah.
See, now there's pressure for me to figure out which one you're thinking in your head. And I have no idea which one that may be. So I'm just gonna have to pick one. I'll pick. We were talking about Phantom Menace. How about Darth Maul?
Oh, what spaces do I have left?
All you've got left is number one.
Oh man. Well, I guess I gotta put it at number one. I wouldn't have, but I don't mind it being high. I like it as a lightsaber. And it's the first ever double lightsaber we saw, right? But I would have put number one would have been Luke's Jedi lightsaber.
Ah,
That's what I
yes.
would have put there. Yeah.
I think that's arguably the best one. That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
That's that's plus also, we were talking about nostalgia earlier. Luke's Luke's green saber was the very first lightsaber toy that I ever got.
Awesome.
I see it over there in the corner, but yeah. So I cannot argue with how that ended up,
Okay, good.
but
Worked out all right. Do
worked out all right.
you want to know my
So
favorite character lightsaber of all time?
yes, please.
That would be Depa Billaba.
Really?
Depa Billaba's lightsaber is gorgeous. It had a big influence on my own design. There's certain
Okay.
elements that I took and kind of played with,
I
and
don't actually know off the top of my head what hers looks like.
yeah, take. Oh, do you have the? Is that the lightsaber collection?
It is.
Nice, very nice. It's in there. It's definitely in there.
It's
And
this is actually one of my prized possessions in my collection because I've been slowly but surely getting it autographed
oh,
by
nice. That's smart.
any
Never thought of that. Yeah,
anybody that I come across that
sure.
has a lightsaber. Let me see if I can find. I've got both Ahsokas. I've got Ashley Eckstein and Rosario
Oh, that's
Dawson,
beautiful with the green pen. I love that.
and then
Very nice.
the dark saber, of course, has multiple users.
Oh, dude,
So
what a
we've got
smart idea. That is beautiful.
there's I want to say over 20 signatures in here at this point.
Oh, wow. I
But
bet you were
got to
careful, eh? You don't want to smudge those
even
pages.
have Roger Christian.
Hey, Roger. Nice.
But yeah, no, this is one of my prized collection pieces at this point.
It's amazing.
Just
Did you see her lightsaber?
I did.
It's
I don't know
beautiful.
why I like flipped right past it. Where did
It's
it go?
yeah, I
Oh
don't
no,
know
it's right there.
why, but it speaks to me. It's so just cool. Like it, there's not a
There
lot
we
of
go.
other ways to like describe it. There it is. Look at right with the
Yeah.
black and the gray. It's beautiful. I just love it. You know what's funny about that book coming up is just yesterday I filmed footage for the High Republic version that I just got because I just got the
Yeah.
High Republic one. I haven't edited it yet. I'm going on vacation on Thursday, so I spent and today was a holiday here in Canada or Ontario at least. Can't remember. I think just Ontario. So I've spent the past 3 days just like shooting footage because
Yeah.
I'm going to be gone for a week, right? So I want to make sure I have
Yeah.
stuff to post. But I realized I was like, you know what? I can edit on the plane. I can edit lying around. So I didn't do editing. I've just shot for like 3 days. My phone's just full of like videos I gotta go through. But yeah, so there will be very soon, probably next week, a High Republic video coming on that book. So
But
that'll be
yeah, no,
fun.
I love this book. I remember I pre-ordered this book like as soon as it got announced, and I got it, and I've been carrying it with me very carefully uh, to conventions for the past handful of years. Just anytime I can find somebody that has a lightsaber in there, I'm
Yeah,
adding it in there. And I want to make a YouTube video about it, just showing off all the signatures because
that's a
there's
great
so
idea,
many in there
man.
at that point. But
Great idea. Yeah. Where'd you meet
we
Roger?
at Rebel ScumCon just this past year, which living in
Yeah.
Texas, Rebel ScumCon is like 45 minutes away from my house. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's perfect.
um,
I'd really like to come down. I think I talked with one of the guys about a couple years ago about coming down,
yeah,
and it was just too hard to, what is it, Kentucky?
Yeah.
Sorry, where is it? Yeah, right. Which is a bit of a hike from here. Um, Again, single dad. You got to
Oh
make
well, no.
arrangements, right?
The
But
the convention is in Texas, but one of the owners that runs it, his name is Kentucky.
oh, okay, weird, weird.
Shout out Kentucky.
Can I tell you my how I met Roger Christian?
You can absolutely.
Okay. So remember earlier when I mentioned that I worked for Source Point Press, that publishing
Yes.
house, right? Now they were based out of Michigan. So whenever there was Toronto Comic Con, they would come up and just crash with me and we'd go to the show. So a couple years ago, the head guy there, Travis, he calls me up and he's like, "Okay, we're coming, but Friday night I want you to keep open. Don't make any plans." I was like, "Okay, done." Right? He was like our mad genius leader. He just said stuff and we did it. It was weird. So he's like, "Don't make plans." I was like, "Okay." So they come up Friday night. We go out. I'm about an hour or so away from Toronto. So at the time it was a little closer. So we move it. We go downtown to Toronto, and we're having dinner. We're going to have dinner, and we're walking down the street to the restaurant, and I see this older gentleman just standing outside by the steps, and Travis just walks up to him and starts talking to him. And I'm like, okay, who's this dude? Right. And he's like, "Jay, I want you to meet Roger Christian." And I was like, it didn't register at first. Like I knew it, the name, and I even kind of
Yeah.
recognized him. And I was like, there's something about this guy. Right. And then he's like, Roger here made the first lightsaber and stuff, or he's an Academy Award winner. I
Yeah.
can't remember. He described him, however. And as he's describing him, it's all coming back. And I'm like, he's the guy in the picture with the long and made the
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, oh, wow. So at the time, Roger was trying to sell his documentary. And SourcePoint had done some film work and produced some like movies and stuff. So it was just a business dinner about that, about the possibilities of SourcePoint maybe, distributing his film. Didn't ever eventually go anywhere, but just a business dinner, one of those things. But I hijacked the hell out of it. I spent the whole time just grilling
Yeah.
him, and he told me all those classic stories that you hear him tell that are in the book, that are in the documentary, and I just got to sit there side by side, and hear it all. Eventually, it finished, and I was like, "Can I get you on my podcast sometime?" And he's like, "Yeah, totally." Right? I was like, "Cool." So I got his email and stuff, and we leave. I said to Travis, dude, I'm so sorry I hijacked your dinner. You guys didn't talk any business."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Jay, that was the point. I wanted to see how a Star Wars fan would react to these stories." And
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I hope he reacted good." He's like, "That was great." So we had a good time, right? So this is just before the pandemic. So I go to email Roger, who the next week was going to China for a while, and he goes to China, and he got stuck in China when the pandemic started,
Oh.
and he was there for a long time. Then he finally came back, but I had been emailing him all this time and was like just not getting a response, and I was like, oh well, whatever, it was sad, but what can you do? And I finally, through a collectors group, he ended up doing this little tiny like collectors show thing, right? This like Star Wars group. So I got to meet him again there and remind me, like, remember the dinner? And he was like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah." And we're talking. And he's like, "You never got a hold of me." And I was like, I tried. And he goes, "You forgot the J." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "My email is Roger J. Christian at whatever, right?" And that's why everybody always screws it up. And they were like, "You can't get a hold of him." So
Yeah.
I reset it up, and through this collectors group, uh, I just started getting to hang out with him from time to time, and I had him on my podcast, and then I hooked him up as a guest at a Toronto Comic Con and did a big fan panel with him. I've done 2 panels at Fan Expo with him as well. So we've actually, kind of gotten to be buddies where, we hang out, and, he texted me the other day. We were talking about some toy shows and stuff, and I get all the heads up on the cool stuff he's doing. And his son Arjun is a fan of my channel. that was part of the reason I got to know him, because his kid was like, "You're the lightsaber YouTube guy," and I was like, "Oh my god, the guy who created Secular, like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
right?"
yeah, yeah,
So the maker's son is a fan of what I'm making, right?
yeah,
So it's crazy. And I remember when he got like his first and second like lightsaber, and then he met Theory and Star Wars Theory, and he's got like 22 like Theory sabers now or something ridiculous.
yeah,
But it's who thought out of this fluke experience I would get to be buddies with the
yeah,
guy who created the first lightsaber.
yeah,
It's still surreal. Like when I'm hanging out with him, it doesn't feel like it. It feels like, my friend Roger, we're having coffee or tea or
yeah.
whatever, right? He's a big coffee guy, Starbucks loyalist. Just loves he's got the app, and he always like figures out where they all are and where he needs to go when he's at a show to get his Starbucks, right? Very important. So, yeah, one of the coolest things to come out of this whole thing has just been like my friendship with this man who,
Yeah,
obviously I look up to, but now I can be like, I enjoy sitting and just having a good conversation with him. He's a
yeah,
good guy. So
yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he was super awesome at Rebel Scum Con. I'd love to have him on my show.
That might
But
be arrangeable.
but
No
yeah, I mean,
promises, no promises, but the word can always be dropped for sure.
there you go. But we have so many Star Wars projects coming soon. At the time of recording this, it'll be long. It'll be way beyond then by the time this comes out. But we have a Mandalorian and Grogu trailer supposedly
Yeah.
coming out tomorrow, and Maul Shadow Lord is closely approaching, and there's so
Yeah.
many other projects coming. What of all the upcoming
Looking good in my mind.
projects that are announced, rumored, what are you most excited for that's coming soon for Star Wars?
I most excited for, well, it was Ahsoka season 2. Although, can I say it's the Rey movie? Even though that's
Sure.
like fluxes in its like existence, that's what
Yeah.
I'm most excited for, is to move on.
Yeah.
I want to see an older Rey with new Jedi, new order, new ideas, new way of doing things, a new enemy, perhaps, a new protagonist, or sorry, a new antagonist. Like, kind of, I'd like to see that. Yuzon Vong, maybe something.
That's kind of
So
what I figured you were hinting at.
right. So yeah, so that's what I would most look forward to. If that is something I can look forward to,
Yeah.
that's what I most look forward to. Next to
100%.
that, it's Ahsoka season 2. Can't wait to see where all that stuff goes. Like,
Yeah.
I hope it's really cool. Um, I was excited about Mando and Grogu, like, more that this will be fun. I was more like, this will be a fun ride,
Yeah.
because I love the
Yeah.
show, of course, right?
Yeah.
But then I was like, the dark saber got destroyed, though, right? That's kind of sad, right? I didn't expect anything. And then recently, as I'm sure you and many other people probably heard, Tom Cruise apparently dropped by the set of the oh wait, no, that was the
No, that
Starfighter
was
movie.
yeah, that was Starfighter.
Okay, never mind. Sorry. I have to change that. I am just kind of excited about Mando and Grogu. I don't even know if we'll get any lightsabers, but I think
Yeah.
it's going to be fun. So I'm like, but when I heard Tom Cruise, sorry, it was the Starfighter movie, right? I'm glad we corrected that. When I heard, because I did not expect lightsabers.
No, I didn't
I
either.
never let myself get excited, because if I'm let down, I'll be too let down and I won't be able to just enjoy the thing. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, this will be like what, like, the Rogue Squadron books were to me. I never read them, but I appreciate that they're there for people to read, right? But then I heard that Tom Cruise filmed a lightsaber scene, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, wait a minute. That's when the ears went, "Boop," and I was like,
Yep.
are we gonna get new lightsabers?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited about that. Like,
Yeah.
and Sean Levy's great fun, right? Like, he's already, think about it, he's already directed a movie with a lightsaber in it too, right?
It's interesting because you think about, okay, there's a lightsaber in Starfighter, they've said that Starfighter is shortly after the Rise of Skywalker.
Right? That was another
So
thing. Yeah, I
so
thought it was
so
earlier.
so so
Yes. Who? Who?
who can realistically
Who?
have a lightsaber at this point
Yeah.
other than Rey with the yellow one that she had at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
So is she making an appearance in that movie? Is there another lightsaber just floating out there in the world that we are
Is
going to
it
learn about?
is it a flashback to when this
Is it a
starfighter was a young
flashback?
Padawan,
Yeah,
perhaps? Being
yeah. There's
trained?
this,
Is it a training montage, perhaps?
yeah. There's
So many
so many,
questions.
yeah, so many
I'm just
questions and so many possibilities.
I kind of hope it's new characters because that means new lightsabers, which
Yes.
potentially means new toy lightsabers, and is also a very good thing for the companies, for the custom saber companies, because
Yeah,
that industry really goes up and down, right? Like
yeah,
a lot of the people, once they've got one, the general populace, they've got one. And there's when Star Wars is popular, they do better at like shows and stuff, right? So a new
sure.
lightsaber means, more attention and people want more stuff because it's a hard industry. Like it really is. Like
Yeah.
they're an expensive item. It's a hard sell. That's why you see so much competition between these companies with their
Oh, and
promos and their
there's so
and their
many doing it now.
giveaways. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It's nuts. So you gotta weed out. That's why I just did a lightsaber terminology video to help
yeah,
people understand the differences with like Xeno and NeoPixel and all the things. And I said straight up, I was like, you guys are looking at the wrong stuff. Like these are all the same lightsabers. There's only two companies, and they're all being sold by
yeah.
these all they're all the same. So
Mhm.
who's your customer service that makes you happy?
Yeah,
Who's got the best price? Who's
yeah.
got the best shipping? Blah blah blah. That's what you
It's
need to
not
be
about,
looking
yeah, it's
for.
not about the
It's not
actual
about the
lightsaber.
saber because they're all the
Yeah.
damn. I'm sorry to break it to you, kids. Really, it's like the big
They're
dirty
all
secret.
the same.
That's why you see these companies being like the
Yeah.
best dueling lightsaber in the galaxy. You can kind of call it the best because it's the same one as everybody else's. So like everybody else is the best.
Everybody's by
Yeah.
default the best.
And
Yeah.
how many videos do you see where people are like the most realistic lightsaber out there, right? Because they're all the same one. You can say that, right? Because not one is more realistic than the other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are, of
Yeah.
course, there's companies doing intricate things like my lightsaber or Saber Theory. In fact, he's done the father and with his origin Rogers origin saber line, right? And he also uses exclusive soundboards that nobody else can use. So there are those things that factor into it. But overall, like, unless you're an enthusiast, you're not really looking at all that. You're like, who's gonna serve me best and give me the best price,
Yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the whole thing. So that's what you're looking at, kids.
Yeah. I this question I'm interested to ask you because I always get a different answer every time I ask it. But
Yeah.
if originally this question started with if Kathleen Kennedy, but it's not her anymore, so I guess it's Dave Filoni now. If Dave Filoni came to you and said, "You can create any Star Wars thing you want: movie, TV show, live action, animated, book, comic, video game, theme park ride, casting decision. You can make any decision you want in the world of Star Wars. Whatever you say in the next 2 minutes, Lucasfilm is powerless to say no to your idea. What are you making happen in the world of Star Wars?"
Am I making it as well as making it happen?
Uh Either way, if you want to if you want to put yourself make it happen and put yourself in charge of it, then
I would give anything to be the guy who gets to make that Ray movie. I have a Star Wars idea in my head, and it's my dream theory of what happens. And it's my own little just story that I love and tickles me, right? So this is what I would love to see happen.
let's
Here's
hear it.
my dream fan stuff for you guys. Mace Windu knocked out that window, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we all believe he's alive. Of course, he's alive because his Padawan came to his rescue. His Padawan was already on the way there. Who's his Padawan? Does it matter? We didn't ever know Anakin had a Padawan, right? Until all of a sudden the Clone Wars, we were like, oh, he's got a Padawan. Of course, Mace has got a Padawan that we just haven't heard about. He's off doing his thing, right? Something happens that kind of alerts him to shit going down. Sorry, excuse me. Um, I don't know if this is family friendly or not. Stuff going down. And even if it's through the force, he feels something's happening. So he starts racing towards his master to help him out. And it could be as corny as like when Anakin caught Obi-Wan in the speeder. He could just catch him there, or maybe, Mace somehow like he's hitting buildings, sliding out. Somehow they make it work, right? That he saves him, right? But Mace is messed up. Like Mace is hurt. So they go into exile, just like Yoda, just like Obi-Wan. They go into their own exile, and the Padawan goes with him. And the Padawan becomes what he calls and refers to as the contingency. So he's always had this plan because, how Yoda's always been more of let's let the Force do its thing. We believe in the prophecy. And Mace was always the doubter and the one who was like, I don't trust this stuff, right? So I've always seen Mace Windu having a contingency. And part of what went into picking this particular Padawan that he picked was that if anything happened to the Order, this kid had all the proper, abilities and skills to be able to carry on the traditions and knowledge of the Order. So he's like a mega secret, like Navy SEAL Jedi student. You know what I mean? Like the Jason Bourne of Jedis.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That Mace turns this guy into. And this guy grows a bit, and eventually he does the same and finds another Padawan and does the same with this Padawan. By the time that's done, we're in the Rey era, right? So that gives us grown-ass Jedi out of nowhere that can somehow, who have always been keeping themselves secret, right? That's why we haven't seen or know of them. And then maybe Rey, in her time, she starts hearing rumors about a Jedi appearing here or somebody helping somebody there with the Force. And she hears enough rumors that she figures, I got to investigate. So she starts following the leads and hunting down and eventually gets to him. And one night, like they're in the same club or whatever, in a tavern, something, the guy gets away and then she's after him. And I don't know, I just picture this Jedi kind of turning and smiling at her. And he's like, it's not time yet or something. And like taking off, and Rey's like, who are you? And that's this whole thing. Eventually, the guy they come together for whatever reason. The guy decides it's time to reveal myself. You've got a Jedi with all the knowledge of the Order that Rey would need that she doesn't possess. He would be the perfect person to help her bring back the Order. And that would be the story. Maybe that's the story we tell through the Mace Windu series with flashbacks and jumping ahead, or maybe in the movie you could jump from like Mace training to then like the other kid being, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's my big fan fiction, kids. And I've had years to like think about it and go over it. And I just think it'd be cool if like Mace Windu, being the military type Jedi that he is, like how could there not be a contingency plan for this? That always bothered me, right? Like there should always have been a contingency plan for something like this going down. But of course, that lends itself to how arrogant the Jedi became, that they didn't even have a contingency plan for something like this, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my mind goes with that.
Yeah, I'd be very much on board with that.
You like that? Does that work?
That sounds awesome.
Something like I think that's the direction they need to go in somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like it. I love it.
Cool.
I'm curious, real quick, if you want to just rapid fire what are some of the fandoms, and you mentioned some of them earlier, but what are some of the big important fandoms outside of Star Wars that you're a fan of?
Oh, okay. Next to Star Wars is He-Man. Huge Motu guy, grew up on Motu. That's part of the thing that like made me kind of, if there was anything that took me away from Star Wars in the 80s, it was Masters of the Universe. Like it was just like it. I guess I am. I'm a big Doctor Who guy. Not really collectors wise, but it's just an IP I've always loved. I've struggled with it the past few years, as many have. The show has struggled, right? But my gosh, it to me, it's the most brilliant sci-fi ever written. Like a lot of that Doctor Who stuff, you know. Um, and then I'm kind of a fan of like a lot of the general stuff. Like I grew up, like I said, Centurions. I was big on Visionaries, stuff like that. But besides Star Wars, Masters of the Universe is my big. I'm really excited about the movie.
I was
Like
gonna ask how you feel about the movie that's coming out.
I'm really happy that I'm at an age and in a frame of mind that I don't mind the fact that he's not as big as he should be.
Yeah,
It was the first thing I noticed, and I was like, I'm not gonna immediately kill this for myself off my first glance. I refuse. This movie could be great. We'll see
yeah,
what happens, right?
yeah,
It could be the kind of situation like Logan. Like a lot of people forget. You take a look at Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men movie, and
yeah.
there's not a lot of muscle there. He almost looks like
No,
just like a regular dude. He barely had time
yeah,
to put in. You compare that to Logan, and it's like, what are you?
yeah,
It's like a whole other human being, right?
yeah,
So and that's because he listened to the fans, and he's like, I got to get more Jack next time. Reacher, I think, did the same thing for Reacher season
yeah,
2. So I bet you this kid, if he's smart and it goes well enough that there's a sequel, he'll probably be like, okay, now I got time. I know the sequel's coming. Let's put more on and like,
yeah,
but I have some faith in it. So I kind of hope that it happens. And I'm a Star Trek guy. I love
yeah,
Star Trek. Star Trek's a super fun thing for me. I'm a big Voyager guy. I was huge into Star Trek Voyager. So
yeah.
yeah.
So just to kind of wrap it up, what does the future hold for an elegant weapon? What's coming in the immediate? Anything you want to kind of talk about that's coming up soon?
Well, for the weapon itself, it's just same old, getting lightsabers and showing them off and having fun with them. But as far as myself, non-video wise, in March, I will be at Toronto Comic Con and I will be hosting a whole bunch of sketch duels and comic book panels. So if you're in the area or you're coming to Toronto Comic Con, come meet me. And also, I'll be there hanging out with extra lightsabers because they'll be set up. So when I'm not doing panels, I'll probably be just hanging out at their table. So if you can find them, you can come by, say hello, and meet me. And I think the next thing after that is April. I will be in Calgary for Calgary Fan Expo. Um, and same thing there. I'll be there hosting and having a lot of fun, doing sketch duels and all that kind of cool, groovy stuff. Other than that, we just keep pushing along, man. I got some exciting new lightsabers to show off, and the hunt continues, right? So,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Star Wars and talking about
no
lightsabers and
problem.
talking
Yeah.
about so many other things.
I'm sorry I'm
And
not very good at rapid fire answers to the
oh
rapid
no,
fire
that's okay.
questions, but
That's okay.
that's why I do all
I
this. I like to talk, man. That's why I've had the podcast to just blah blah
yeah.
blah.
I set it up as rapid fire, but I just want to talk to cool people about Star Wars. So if we accomplish that, even if we go off in a completely different direction, I'm
I
cool.
had a blast, man. This was great, and
Yeah.
I've watched a bunch of your vids, and
Oh, I
you're
appreciate
doing a
that.
fantastic job. You're cool. You seem comfortable. That's the thing that is key. Is a lot of people,
But
whether you are or not, doesn't matter. If you're presenting as comfortable, you're doing good. You're in the right like zone, and you're obviously enjoy the conversation, and you let it organically go where it needs to go. And those are the key things about interviews and podcasting. Not like I'm Mr. Number One guy doing that or anything, but I do have enough experience to know what
yeah,
works, and that's where you want to be. You want to be in this flow and ebb state. And yeah, I watched a lot of your vids. The only one I watched the whole thing was Hannah, the race side. That was,
yeah,
and a lot of that is just it's so much fun to listen to her talk, right? And
Hannah. Yeah,
to hear
Hannah's
her
great.
stories.
Shout out Hannah.
And it's nice also. I'm kind of like feeling like one of the older guys in the content creation like arena, like with a lot of these people, doing their thing. I'm a big fan of a lot of people, and I follow them all. I've gotten to know For the Lore and like we talked about
Yeah.
Fulcrum, codename Fulcrum, and these are all great. And I
Yeah.
follow all these guys and watch them, but and I'm actually, I think I'm Fulcrum's like we're like a year off, but a lot of these kids, like
Yeah.
and people like when I hear like in 2009 was like their first Star Wars movie or whatever, and it's just awesome to
Yeah.
hear their versions and their experiences, and
Yeah.
because like I think I was such a little kid back in 1983, and who knew what was coming, and then hearing all the news stories, it's awesome that you're giving this platform to hear these awesome stories too. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, man. Cameron, you're doing great. Keep
I appreciate it.
keep on
I
keeping on,
appreciate it.
man. Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up Nick. His I just talked to him the other day, and his episode's either going to come out right before or right after yours.
Oh, that's right. He was on too, right? Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. Yeah.
but yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Sorry, can I just ask? Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead.
Is he in California?
He is.
Okay, because I was like, he gets to go to Galaxy's Edge a lot. I was like, the guy, he must live near there and have easy
Yeah,
access. What a lucky guy. Half his videos are at Galaxy's Edge, and I'm just like, how are you not on staff there yet, man? Like, you should be like a
he
tour
should
guide for
be.
the Falcon,
Yeah,
like
no, he
walking
should
around
be.
and like telling
He
people's like stories,
absolutely,
right?
he
So.
absolutely should
Yeah,
be.
yeah. But
But
thank you so
yeah,
much for this.
yeah,
I've had a blast, man. I had a
yeah.
great, great time.
I appreciate you taking the time. I mean, I'm still very much trying to find my way in this whole
That's part of the fun of it
universe.
though, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
taking it's the journey. It's not the destination. You've made what? You've done like 40 videos?
Oh
There's
gosh,
some
no. This is like
of this
no. This
show?
is no. This is only like 12 or 13.
Oh, that's all you've done. Oh my goodness, dude. You're killing it then. Like
Started it like 5, 6 months ago.
not was it like yeah, like
It was
yeah,
like it was
man.
right
That's
after
right.
it was right after Rebel ScumCon this past August.
What inspired you to start the show?
It was doing a Star Wars podcast had always been something that had been in my brain, but had never gone further than my brain. And I'm friends with the guys that run Rebel ScumCon. I've been friends with them for a long time now, and they invited me to the show. Went and meeting so many people like Nick, and so many people that I've watched and admired, and just getting to kind of hang out with them and talk to them, and get advice and stuff like that. And it was the kind of thing where that weekend was so impactful that I said, if I'm gonna do it, I have to do it now. I
Nice.
have to capitalize on meeting all these people that I've watched and looked up to, and getting all this advice. And I was like, if I'm gonna do
Smart.
it, I
Yeah.
have to do it now.
Yeah.
And have been very, very lucky to to have had the people on that I've had, being so new, Hannah and Nick and Gabe from Gabe's Empire, and so many other people that I've been just very fortunate to be sending DMs out into the
Yeah.
ether and
Well,
and
it's
getting
networking.
answers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
a hundred
networking.
percent.
Once you meet people, you get to know them, and like you're kind of doing it the way I did with my podcast, where you're kind of starting with like the indie guys,
Yeah,
like the guys who are like starting and like they have a following and they're good and they're established and they're there and they're a great conversation. They're not necessarily Star Wars theory yet, but like that's where you want to go because these are the people that people want to hear from. These are the real
yeah,
conversations that you're going to have, and
yep.
I'm honored to be part of it, man. I can't thank you enough. Like
I
to be included amongst the people that you've been having on the show makes me feel just great about what I'm doing and everything. The fact that, this is an acknowledgement to that hard work, right?
Yeah,
So is
absolutely.
your hard work you'll have to come on my show. We'll have a big cross pod. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, we used to call them cross pods. We used to have them all the time back in the day. And, I'd get together with other podcasts and we'd both just put out the same episode. And it
Yeah.
was, you don't see it much these days. We should bring back the cross pod. So we'll have to do that,
I
Cameron.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Your compliments to me is more than I could have ever asked for. So
No, it's all
I
good, man. Like
appreciate it.
you like there should be more views on these videos and subs on your channel. There
I
absolutely should be, and I'm going to continue to make a point to say that. I can't wait till this does drop, and I can say,
yeah,
hey man, I had a fun time talking to this guy. It was a blast, and you should all check it
I
out. So
I absolutely
it's good
appreciate it.
times, man. So much fun, right?
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and we will be back with more new episodes shortly. And
Yay!
until next time, may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.